Good afternoon to you. Mark Sutton with HurricaneTrack.com here. I want to talk about Tropical Depression 16 in this afternoon edition of the Hurricane Outlook and Discussion. Shortly after I posted the video this morning, the National Hurricane Center upgraded 90L to Tropical Depression number 16. And as we look at the satellite image, the animation this afternoon, very well-defined banding, curved bands with this system, probably getting close to becoming a tropical storm. And this is going to have a lot of people watching it, and a lot of people are going to need to watch this. Going to bring heavy rain to portions of Central America, maybe the Cayman Islands, and some of the influences of it, even over here to Jamaica, certainly the western Cuba, and northeast parts of the Yucatan Peninsula. And from there into the open Gulf of Mexico, and anywhere from the northeast corner of the Gulf here, the Big Bend area, maybe Tampa. And I say that not because I think the center is just going to come in to either Port Charlotte or Tampa or whatever, but we have to think about the impact of this system and how big it may be. And so, if it makes landfall up here, this is just hypothetical, that onshore flow in this area could be very problematic. So where it makes landfall is obviously important for the people there, but to the right of that track, it's also going to be important, like in that right front quadrant. Just think about that. So a lot of people are going to have interest in this. The models are generally split between the American-based global forecast system, indicating a threat over here perhaps, and the European model indicating a threat over here. Not that great of a distance, but certainly enough divergence in the tracks that there's a lot of uncertainty here, to be sure. So looking at the vorticity, this is from this morning. And this is what it looks like this afternoon, increasing in the round nature to it, almost a perfect circle down there, really bundling that energy. And that tells me that it is structurally sound and on its way to strengthening quickly, especially as it gets away from Central America right here and it clips this corner of Honduras and Nicaragua, and it moves on up towards this vicinity. Let's use a different color here, maybe yellow. Will that work? No, there's yellow down there. We'll use blue. And so once it moves up through this area, upper ocean heat content very high, and that's going to be the potential there for it to strengthen very quickly, coming across a lot of this high upper ocean heat content. And then if it comes in and then makes a move towards Florida like that, again, just a hypothetical here, still fairly high upper ocean heat content, meaning that that water is not only warm at the surface, but it's warm several meters, and in some cases hundreds of meters below the surface. I talked about this in the morning update. The depth of the 26 degrees Celsius isotherm, and that's simply a scientific way of saying how deep does that warm water extend. If it's shallow warm water, then you don't have very high upper ocean heat content, and that is evident right down here as an example. Let's change this back to like red. So the upper ocean heat content around all this shelf water near the continent is not as rich in high-octane fuel, so to speak. And that's also holds true right up against the coastline up here. But even just offshore, these values are lower, but they're still there. And so if this comes out of the Caribbean strong, it will probably maintain that intensity for a while. But then you know what happens. If it's strong early and then it weakens, it starts to spread that energy out over a larger area. And so there could be some substantial impacts all along this area of the Gulf Coast, more to the right of the track than to the left, or more to the east than the west. And again, we'll need to focus on that in the coming days. This is just a preliminary look, kind of like looking down the road at what may or may not happen. And this is a guide to that, and these upper ocean heat content values, if the atmosphere is supportive, could be a real pain in the neck. So we need to be ready for that. So the European seems to have a pretty good handle on this overall. This is the 12Z run off of tropicaltidbits.com. There's the vorticity signature indicated at the 5,000 foot level. This over here is Ramon in the eastern Pacific. Yeah, some rain and some squally weather along the coast of Mexico. It's an impact event, but it's not a very serious event, fortunately. And Ramon is going to head out in this general direction over time. So let's move through the frames here. This is the initial map from 8 o'clock this morning. This would be 24 hours later, so this is Thursday morning. Friday morning, look what happens, that jump from off of Central America here, northwest roughly, into the heart of the highest upper ocean heat content, and then look what happens from there. So that's what, Friday morning. Saturday morning, it kind of bends a little bit more to the west with time. And again, when I see this in the modeling, you've got this core right here, and then you've got these bands that show up in the vorticity signature. The resolution, if it's really picking that out, this could be a very intense hurricane in here, because these bands represent energy feeding into the system that is itself very round in the center. Okay, so I tell you, when I see that, it's just, to me, it's a signature. It's like, oh man, it's not stretched out. It doesn't look weird in the modeling, you know, where you see wind shear tilting it or whatever. That tells me we really, really need to be watching this closely. It doesn't tell me that this is absolutely going to happen, but it tells me to be on the lookout for it. So let's not mistake model guidance for model gospel, okay? But this is a great indicator, you know, that we really need to be watching this. So moving on out to 96 hours, the possibility of a very intense hurricane, maybe. You know, we'll just have to see. That's what the modeling indicates to me. It's deepening throughout the process until it makes landfall. This is Sunday morning, and finally here is Monday morning with a depicted landfall along the Florida Peninsula. I'm sorry, the Panhandle. Wrong. Florida Panhandle, not the Peninsula. My mistake. Just speaking faster than I can think. So the Florida Panhandle, possible landfall on Monday. Is this exactly what's going to happen? Probably not. But this is only 5 days out, and the European is regarded as a very thorough and highly regarded, highly accurate overall global model. And this is what it's depicting, so we need to watch this closely. It's interesting, though, that the GFS and a lot of its ensemble members are more focused on Louisiana. So, like I said, there is a divergence in the track a little bit. In fact, we can see that to some extent in the 18Z guidance, the spaghetti plots as we often call them. And if I zoom in here, you can see what I'm talking about. Now, this does not show the European, but you get the idea that the official forecast track from 11 o'clock this morning is right here. And look where it is, everybody. It's way over here to the east of the entire guidance envelope of this particular suite of models that are being projected here. And just to kind of highlight the point further, this one is come on, Mark. It is the GFS ensemble mean. All right, and remember from statistics and math what a mean is. It's another word for average. All right, so that is the average, the mean of all 20-something, whatever it is, 2021 GFS ensemble members. That's the mean. So the official forecast track is well to the east of even the ensemble mean. All right, so yikes. You know, we don't have enough confidence here. That's what stinks. It's like, if there's going to be a hurricane, we need to know where it's going to go. And I know that sounds obvious, but, you know, this is not good. It's not good for helping people to prepare. And then the stinking, you know, whatever's going to come out with the fake weather news and whatever. You know, just when there's a nice, tight envelope of guidance, it just makes it easier on everybody. At least it should. The forecast confidence, that's the word I'm looking for. And the intensity guidance beginning to show more muscle over time. The HWRF gets it up to Category 2. Do not be surprised if this reaches Category 3, and do not be shocked if it reaches Category 4. That is not me predicting that that's what's going to happen. That is not what I just said. I'm saying do not be surprised if it becomes I would say that it is likely to become a Category 3, and that is a prediction. But I will not be shocked if it becomes a Category 4, less likely at this juncture, because that's so hard to predict. And sometimes it just happens. Irma, Maria, Jose, Lee, Harvey. Do I need to continue? No. Lee didn't make it to Cat 4, but Wow. Okay, so the trend has been overachieving. Why would it stop now? That's a problem. All right, so I'll be watching this closely. Obviously, it's my number one priority right now, on top of what has been an unbelievable season. Not unprecedented. Some of it has been, and we can talk about all of that later. But it's time. And just to remind you, we do have our app. And, of course, it's active now. All of this information I'm putting into the app, it goes on HurricaneTrack.com. I put stuff on social media. But Hurricane Impact is where everything is aggregated into one package. So if you don't have it, head to the App Store, Google Play, search Hurricane Impact, 2 words, can't miss it, and everything that I'm producing goes into the app. And it's just a convenient way for a few dollars to get everything that I'm putting out there. And then when we go into the field, all of that data and live video also populates into the app first, and then we share it on social media later. Don't want to just lock people out. But if you get the app, it's a great place to have everything. And you know what? It's my job. I've mentioned this before. This is what I do for a living. So yes, you are supporting me, but hopefully I'm also helping you. So it's a win-win situation. All right, Hurricane Impact. If you don't have it, get it and talk about it and share it. And let's get everybody to get it, because then we could do a lot of great things, right? Right. All right, that's it. The sales pitch is over. I've said enough about that. But it functions very well. I'm very proud of what we've done with it, especially with the very little budget that we have. That's it from me for today. We will watch and see what the model runs show tonight. If you are on the Gulf Coast from New Orleans and points east, I would say have your hurricane ears perked up and paying attention to this very closely. Eventually it will be named Nate. And trivia, Nate, or that's the nickname, Nathan, is the first name storm of my 7 name storms. That's kind of a riddle, right? You figure that out. What does he mean by that? The first of 7 name storms, his first one was named Nathan, and we call him Nate for short, right? Haha. Anyway, there you go. And if you figure it out, leave it in the comments section. All right, I have to have a little levity from time to time because, darn, this stuff can just be brutal. Have a good rest of your afternoon and evening. I am Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, and you bet I'll be back with a lot more for you starting tomorrow.